everyone. My name is Neve. I haven't cut or washed my hair in 10 years. Surprised? I'm like that princess from the cartoon Tangled with long hair. By the way, the length of mine reached 3 meters. Yes, it grows very quickly. Do you want to know why I stopped washing and cutting it? Then put a like, subscribe to our channel, and watch more. When I was born, my mother told me that I already had long hair, and my mother loved it very much. She didn't cut my hair at all and wouldn't let anyone stand next to me with scissors in their hands. She always braided my hair, made ponytails, bunches, bought so many different elastic bands with hairpins. Only my mother washed my hair, combed my hair, made me different masks for density, for growth. She just loved doing it all. Said she had always dreamed that she had the same, but unfortunately, the genes are not the same. When I got a little older, I became interested in experimenting with my appearance, including hairstyles. Then, my hair was already at hip level. Unbeknownst to my mother, I went to a friend's house where they cut it off to my shoulders and immediately we dyed it black from chestnut. Imagine my mother's reaction when she saw me. I knew she wouldn't like it, but not to this extent. She gave me such a thrashing that it didn't seem enough. At first, I tried to argue about my hair, what I want and what I do, and then I saw how my mother had a heart attack because of nerves. I almost lost her. And that night, after she was hospitalized, I promised her that I would never touch my hair again. A year later, my mother died. She had a weak heart. As the doctor said, her death was only a matter of time. The outcome was inevitable. On the day of her funeral, I remembered my promise and stopped brushing and washing my hair because I said I wouldn't touch it again. I was 13 at the time. So that they did not interfere with me, I sometimes braided a braid or two. Honestly, it was difficult to do this, because unbrushed hair is difficult to put in order, but once you've given your word, you must keep it. Especially since the death of my mother was a blow to me, because I have no one else besides her. No brothers, no sisters, no father. She asked a distant relative to look after me. She did it out of a sense of duty, just like me. Otherwise, my life was normal. I went to school, studied a little. I had no friends because many people disdained me because of my dirty head. Sometimes I got lice. I had to suffer a lot to get them out without washing my hair. You may ask if I was disgusted with myself. I'll just say that I'm used to it. I used to braid myself a super tight braid and go like this for 2 weeks. Gradually, my hair grew. Yeah, it was an ordeal, especially in the summer heat. So it took a whole 10 years. My hair, despite the lack of care, was strong, thick, and long. Over the years, I managed to graduate from high school and go to college, where I also became famous for a dirty, long braid. Only one girl deigned to be my friend. Her name was April. It turns out that her family also likes long hair. Of course, not to the same extent as mine, but still. April often asked me how I managed to grow it, and when she found out that I didn't do anything, she didn't disdain. I was surprised, but pleased. Since then, we became friends, and then asked to live together in a dorm. April turned out to be a very kind girl. She always protected me and didn't ask any questions. Once in physical education, we were divided into teams of girls and boys, and we had a running competition. One freak stepped on a strand of hair that fell to the ground, and I fell so hard that I hit my head. The whole class started laughing wildly, and only April stood up for me. She wasn't even afraid to go against our Miss VIP class, Lizzie. She had a tradition of bullying people who were socially inferior to her. In this case, it was me. Lizzie called me a bum and said she would never touch my hair with her foot in her life. April pushed her and Lizzie fell to the ground. I didn't expect this to happen. Lizzie stood up, dusted herself off, and said we'd both answer for it. I was 100 times grateful for such a gesture, but I said that she shouldn't have done it. Now that bitch will definitely not leave us alone. April said it was time to put her in her place. Well, Lizzie wasn't long in coming. The next night, someone broke into our room, tied both our hands, and taped our mouths shut. I was held on both sides. Due to the fact that the room was with the lights off, I couldn't even see his face. But in principle, I guessed from the voice that this is our bitch. That night, Lizzie went overboard. She came up to me while I was being held by 2 or 3 people, grabbed my hair, and cut off my braid. At that moment, I was screaming so hard that my ears were blocked. Chest pain, resentment, despair, anger, all these feelings mixed up and broke me. It wasn't just hair. It was my promise to my dead mother, but who cares? Only April understood me, and when she saw it, she cursed Lizzie and said that she would regret it and pay twice as much. The girls immediately left. I stayed with April. At first, there was silence in the air. Then I could hear my sobs. April calmed me down as best she could, and I knew I hadn't kept my promise. But April said it wasn't really necessary not to touch my hair at all. It was enough that I didn't cut it. And your mother? I think you were responsible for her death. But you're not. The doctor said it was only a matter of time. I'm sure your mother only loved you more than your hair, she said. I cried even more. I may have needed time to accept that thought. A day later, April came up with a plan for revenge. At first, I didn't want to answer, but my friend convinced me that evil is answered with evil, and then we set about implementing the plan. As you all know, revenge is a cold dish. We waited about a month for the talk, rumors, and gossip about my new short but clean hair to subside. By the way, now I look like a normal girl. April and I were lucky to have a new headmaster at the school, and he didn't know anything about the students yet. The fact is that the City Day was approaching, and Lizzie's parents are rich sponsors of the holiday. Respectively, their daughter had to perform a song in front of all the citizens. Only, here's the thing, she always sang to the soundtrack. In fact, the songs for her were performed by another girl who signed a non-disclosure contract. The plan matured by itself. So we waited for the holiday, went there, and waited for the performance. Lizzie shone brighter than a New Year's garland that day. When she took the stage, the audience greeted her with loud applause and cheers. Lizzie took a couple of photos on stage, wished everyone a good evening, and started playing music. We waited for her to finish the first verse, and during that time, we managed to get into the tent, where we found wires, a remote control, and a computer. While I distracted the guards with snacks and drinks, April turned off the soundtrack right on the chorus and turned on the microphone. Just at this moment, the millionaire's daughter stopped controlling her emotions and began to sing in her own voice so that she could have strength. All the people were just freaking out from what was happening. She had such a nasty voice that at first, I thought she was doing this on purpose. There was a disappointed, "Whoa, get off the stage, liar!" from the crowd, and then some kids threw tomatoes and banana peels at the stage. Lizzie was hysterical. The host barely got out of the situation, and we were jubilant. This was our victory, which we deserved. Lizzie tried to make claims against us, but couldn't prove it was us. We had a whole month to work out the plan to the smallest detail, to make everything clear without witnesses. Later, we found out that Lizzie's father tried to run for senator, but people accused him of corruption and deception because of his daughter. Everyone wondered, if he had deceived people with his daughter like this, what would happen next? So his reputation was also damaged, which I was very happy about. April and I celebrated with a bottle of champagne. Well, the next day, I went to my mother's grave. For the first time since I lost my hair, I found the courage to show myself to her. I know it sounds stupid, but I'm really embarrassed to show up to her like this. I still believe that she sees and hears everything. Maybe that's why I finally decided to talk about what happened. As if for evil, a heavy rain began to fall. I found her grave, cleaned up, then sat down next to her and started a monologue. I said a lot of things to her, and I apologized 100 times. And then I told her that if she could hear me and wasn't mad about my hair, she should let me know. Suddenly, the rain abruptly changed to the sun, and a rainbow appeared in the sky. I don't know if it was a coincidence or not, but I took it as a good sign, kissed my mom's photo, and went back to the dorm. Who knows, maybe I shouldn't have tormented myself and my hair like this, but it all led me to what is happening now. In principle, I have no regrets. On the other hand, my hair has become so strong and thick that I can easily lift a bag with it. I'm thinking of hauling groceries from the store on it when it grows back. In the meantime, I'm enjoying what I have, or rather, the new friends that April and I made after City Day.